Good morning, everyone. Yeah, కూర్చోండి. Okay. అందరూ మ్యాథ్స్ తీసుకున్నావా? Okay. Fine. Anyway, this is Srikanth Vinnakota, Director and IAS Academy. I'm faculty for mathematics. Along with me, I have a team of teachers who take up certain aspects of our syllabus. Okay. So today the discussion would be, I think everybody knows like mathematics is highly scoring. That's quite obvious one. So apart from that, is there anything that you want me to address in this session? Any other concerns or any other issues that you have so that I can address that in this session? Exclusively regarding mathematics as an optional.
How does scaling work?
Scaling, okay. Scaling, also called as normalization. I will discuss that. Yeah. Anything else? అంతేనా? స్కేలింగ్ గురించి తెలుసుకోవడానికి ఎంత దూరం వచ్చారా? ఏంటమ్మా? టైం ఫ్రేమ్, ఓకే. Okay, we'll discuss that. Trend, okay. Okay. Efforts are time frame lo vachestunda. Prerequisites, okay. Sources, presentation part, okay. Visible? Okay, kada. Cursive writing, kada. Some people might be able to understand or some people might not be. And that too, I generally write small letters. My font size is small. Anyway, I try to write it big, but anyway. Anything else? So before starting this, how many of you come from non-engineering background who are not engineers? Okay. Oh, very good, very good. This is highly encouraging for me. Okay. So what kind of a background you have, like, if not engineering? BSc mathematics or MSc mathematics kind of, or anything else? BSc mathematics, BSc chemistry, then why you MSc chemistry, BSc also chemistry, BSc, okay, you have all the things, right? Okay. Anyone else apart from engineering, BSc or MSc mathematics, some other background? Hello, anyone? Some other backgrounds? No? BCom. Wow. How can you be here? You want to? You want to try mathematics, okay? Oh, you don't want to take mathematics as your option, but you just want to see what's there in this mathematics. Okay? Same, huh? Or IAS చూద్దాం. ఏమైతుందో చూద్దాం. ఓకే, అన్ని డెమోస్ వేస్తే పని అయిపోతుంది మనకి, ఏదో తెలుసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, ఓన్లీ ఫర్ ద సేక్ ఆఫ్ డెమో someone is here like him? Yeah, only for the sake of demo. So you have not yet finalized about mathematics, right? Okay. Chemistry without mathematics. ఈ సెషన్ వేస్ట్ అయిపోతుంది మీకు. మ్యాథ్స్ వాళ్ళనే వద్దని చెప్తాను నేను. నాన్ మ్యాథ్స్ వాళ్ళు అయితే ముందు బయట పంపించేస్తాం మామూలుగా, బట్ ఎట్లాగ ఇంటర్ అన్నారు కాబట్టి వినండి. ఓకే, ఎనీవే. సో on the face of it, generally what I prescribe is like someone talking about prerequisites. The basic prerequisite is that you should have huge amount of interest for mathematics, and to some extent that has to be supported with your academic background. To some extent it has to be supported with academic background. Without that support of academic background, taking mathematics as your optional subjects is a Herculean task. And don't waste your time on mathematics in all such cases. If you spend the same time in some other optional subject, might be that you might score very high in that. Instead of choosing as mathematics and trying to fail every time and blaming mathematics for that case, because of mathematics I am not able to clear. Instead, you should have actually chosen some other optional subject as your, of course, subject for your optional subject. That would make more sense in that case. Okay, but anyway, the basic prerequisite is interest in the subject. Quite obviously, as good as any other optional subject, you need to have that interest for the subject. Number two, the kind of academic background that you have, that is also very important. Number three, more important thing is that do you have the same interest levels in mathematics the way you had the level of interest in plus 2 level? Generally in plus 2 level, I think everybody would have taken maths as your plus 2 level subject, right? That is up to sure. I cannot expect that someone is non-mathematics in plus 2 level, MPC or MEC, whatever. Okay, that's not sufficient. That's not sufficient at all. To take mathematics as your optional subject, just having chosen mathematics in your plus 2 level, not at all sufficient. If you say that I had done very good mathematics at my plus 2 level, what are you today at this moment? You might be having some other interest in some other area where that might fetch you good marks in optional subject in civil services. That might give you a better rank. That is more practical when compared to just choosing mathematics. Just people are choosing mathematics and scoring very high in mathematics. That's not sufficient. Choosing mathematics, you need to have that ability to slog on for long hours just doing mathematics, 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 and mathematics. Of course, we need to balance that with the general studies, which we'll discuss it later. And the kind of potential that we have for mathematics is like, it is directly proportional to the kind of efforts that you are putting in mathematics. So the efforts, again, very important. But not everyone can put the same kind of efforts, because if you have interest for the subject, you will definitely put more efforts. If you don't have interest for the subject, just for the sake of scoring high, no. Similarly, someone has come previously. Sir, I'm MCom in my post-graduation. So I want to take mathematics as optional subject just because of one reason, that it is scoring very high. The scoring potential is very high. No, it does not suit you. On the face of it, I would directly say that it does not suit you. I'm blatant in saying this one, but yes, it is true. Don't waste your time in mathematics. Mathematics requires a special kind of people. Okay? Anyway, you will understand this over a period of time when we start discussing all the things. Okay. Coming to mathematics as an optional subject, let me write it here. Mathematics as an optional subject. Let me directly jump into the actual things that I wanted to discuss today. There are two things which are very, very, very important. Very, very important. One is accuracy. One is accuracy. What is this accuracy? Mathematics is a kind of binary system wherein you have either ones or zeros, right? Ones or zero means one is success, zero is failure. You got an answer, yes, 1. You did not get answer, 0. That's it. So whatever question that you try to solve, You need to get 100% accurate answer. Only then taking mathematics will fetch you high scores. If you think like, procedure, why procedure does not give marks? Yes, procedure also gives you marks. Someone was talking about presentation, right? So, procedure of getting that right answer is also important. You also will get marks for procedure. But just getting marks for procedure is not relevant, because you'll be losing very high mark when we get a wrong answer. For example, suppose there is a 10 marker question, or maybe let us choose a 20 marker question. Okay? In a 20 marker question, based on paper 1 or paper 2, or based on the topic, you'll get different scores based on the scaling also. Someone was talking about scaling, right? Assuming that in mathematics, generally in academics, suppose a 20 marker, you get a right answer and you have given a proper procedure as well, how you got that right answer, the procedure, as well as the final answer. You got 100% accurate answer. In academics, you are supposed to get 20 out of 20. That's what? Binary system, right? 20 out of 20, because everything is right. But in civil services, based on paper 1 or paper 2, we have something called as scaling or normalization. Scaling is a generic term, but normalization is a technical term. Okay, in statistics, we call it as normalization. Okay. In paper 1, generally, you might get some 75% to 80% of the marks. In paper 2, you might get even 90% of the marks also. Suppose the question is of paper 1, assuming that it's 70% only. So, out of 20, if your answer is, the procedure is correct, you have 100% accurate answer. Out of 20, you will be getting 14 marks, right? 70% is 14 marks out of 20. Provided your procedure is also good, as well as your final answer is correct. Okay. Now suppose your procedure is not up to the mark, but you got 100% right answer. For example, in mathematics, it so happens that most of the questions, based on your practice levels, if you look at the question, you actually recollect answer also. Most of the times, it so happens that based on your practice, obviously, it's all about practice. It's not that we are going to by heart everything, question and answer, question and answer. No, we don't do that. Because we have done enough practice, if you look at the question, you definitely know this is how answer would be. You don't need to even write the entire procedure, but still you know the answer. Maybe 1 or 2 lines you write and then final answer. That means procedure is not sufficient to explain your answer. Okay? Don't expect this 14 marks. Don't expect this 14 marks. You will get less than 10 marks. You will get less than 10 marks. Assuming that your answer is wrong, your procedure is correct, your answer is wrong, your procedure is correct, do you know how much you will get? 4 or 5 marks. Your answer is wrong, procedure correct. Still you will get 4 or 5 marks, because for the procedure you are given some 4 to 5 marks. Got that point? But your answer is also correct, 14 marks. Answer is correct, procedure is not so good, not properly explained, you might get suppose 10 marks. But in each of these instances, in each of these cases, you are losing marks. Each question you are losing 3 to 4 marks, suppose. It's very costly. It's very costly. It's very, very, very costly. In the final examination, you can't even afford to lose a single mark. Forget about 3 to 4 marks for each of the question. Are you getting my point? So you definitely cannot afford to lose a single mark. In which case, in our case of mathematics, the procedure plus final answer, that's what is accuracy all about. They should be in a proper way. How you have to present your answer, the procedure of giving your answer, all the steps that you are supposed to present, that also is important. That is something which we are going to discuss in the class is a different story. Okay. The reason why this procedure is important. There is a difference between engineering and academics. Of course, engineering also is academics basically, but if I distinguish between engineering side and non-engineering side, engineering BE or BTech, non-engineering which is BSc, okay, BSc mathematics or MSc mathematics or whatever mathematics stream that you are in. If we call this as academics, then there's a difference in evaluation and there's a difference in learning methodology also. You know, engineering, what happens? I am an engineer basically. Okay, I am an engineer and master's in engineering. Okay. So when it comes to engineering, what happens is they never ever look for procedure. Engineering people always look for the final answer. 1 or 2 steps, give final answer. They always feel that these guys know how to get an answer. So they'll give full marks, full credit to final answer. Academics is not like that. Academics always ensures that whatever kind of answer that you get, you have to justify your answer. You have to justify. How to justify? The procedure, the steps, the way you present your steps. That's very, very, very important as far as academics is concerned. Now, in UPSC, who are those people who evaluate your answer scripts? Are the engineers? Are the engineers who are going to evaluate your answer scripts, or those professors or assistant professors come from academic side? Academic side. They are not engineers. They definitely not only look for the final answer, they also look for procedure. So you have to always think from the point of view of evaluator. There are 2 things you have to think. One is why this question is framed and what is that he is expecting from us, and who are those people who are evaluating your answer scripts, because they are the people who are going to award marks. So you have to think from the point of view of evaluator also. So evaluators are all academicians, not only just academicians. You know what happens in academics? And how many of you know this one? Suppose if you go to any of the university mathematics department, head of the department or any of the professors or assistant professors in the department, they have knowledge about all the subject content in mathematics. For example, ordinary differential equations or partial differential equations or real analysis or abstract algebra or complex analysis or numerical methods, calculus or 3-dimensional geometry or vector calculus, whatever you mention. They have idea about the principles of mathematics, right? But at the same time, they are experts in 1 or 2 areas of this entire syllabus. For example, a professor of linear algebra is extraordinary in linear algebra. But the same teacher, if you expect him to be so good at ordinary differential equation, no. He is not good at ODE, or he is not good at PD also. He might not be able to teach the way he is teaching linear algebra, because he is not expert of that. Because for the last so many years, he was not teaching partial differential equations or ordinary differential equations. He was teaching only linear algebra, or maybe abstract algebra, or maybe some other topic. So they are experts of those areas, but not experts of remaining areas. Now, what happens at the time of evaluation? At the time of evaluations, it so happens that the same professor is supposed to evaluate the answers written by you related to the topics of linear algebra as well as related to topics of ODE and PD also. Are you getting my point? Now, what he requires? In linear algebra, even if the UPSC does not give him the entire key, but still he will be able to evaluate the answer scripts. But when it comes to ODE or PD, he will not be able to evaluate the answer scripts unless otherwise a key is provided, a proper key is provided. Getting my point? So this is what happens in academics and in UPSC, whoever is going to evaluate. Keep these things in your mind. Okay, I'll come back to these things. Now, when I talk about procedure or final answer, anyway, final answer is important. along with the procedure also is important, because those people who evaluate your answer scripts are coming from the academic background. Those people definitely require you to present your answer in a proper fashion. At least you people are a little lucky when compared to my time, because my time, there's no excuse. The kind of steps that we are supposed to provide would be exactly the way in academics people are supposed to provide. But today things have changed. UPS has become little bit liberal. The way the procedure is also explained nowadays is little bit liberal in nature. So what is that liberality? We'll see in the examples, okay? When we actually start our sessions, there I will tell you, like, these are steps you can avoid in the examination, but there are certain steps which you cannot avoid in the examination. Getting my point? Okay. The next one is speed. Speed. What is speed? Why we require speed? Speed is required only to ensure that we attempt most of the paper. People try to attempt 100% of the paper. That means 250 marks in paper 1, 250 marks in paper 2. Okay? 500 marks. I would rather say it is nearly, I don't say impossible, but nearly impossible to attempt 500 out of 500 in final exam without having proper speed and accuracy levels. Generally, you would have observed by this time, if you increase speed, your accuracy levels will come down. It's quite obvious. For everyone, it happens. Okay? If you increase speed, your accuracy levels generally comes down. But in UPSC, we cannot afford to lose that accuracy. So, accuracy is important to maintain. At the same time, if you want to attempt more and more number of questions, you need to have this speed also. How do you get the speed? Practice. Practice, but nothing else. Unless you practice more and more, you cannot get that speed. At the same time, accuracy levels are also important. You cannot forego your accuracy levels. These two are very important as far as our exam is concerned. Questions? I will explain it in scaling. What is the scaling? What is this normalization? Why that scaling or normalization has to be part of the civil services evaluation? Is it only for mathematics or some other optional subjects as well? Okay, sir. Anyway, that keep on pinging you guys. Okay. Okay. I'll give a small example. Normalization, right? It was in 1992. Anta story enduku maaku anta path story ante I came to know about this normalization of scaling in 1992 when I completed my +2 level. అప్పుడే తెలుసా మీకు అంటే తెలుసు, మరి ఏం చేస్తాం. Okay, 92 it so happened that all India rank 2 Mr. Iqbal, okay, you know what were his scores? At that point of time, there used to be 2 optional subjects. From 2013 onwards, the entire examination structure is reframed for one single optional, right? But earlier it was 2 optional subjects. His optional subjects were mathematics and physics. 1992 I'm talking. Okay. His mathematics score was 540 out of 600. Okay, 540 out of 600. Earlier again, when 2 options were there, each optional subject used to be of 300 marks. Today it is 250 marks, right? Earlier it used to be 300 marks plus 300 marks, 600 marks. Okay, 540. Now, in one of the interviews, he was asked, you got 540 out of 600. How come you lost that 60 marks? Obviously, the question would, that means you got 540 itself tells that you are an expert of mathematics. Then how come you lost that 60 marks? Then what did he said at that point of time? No, I did not lose any marks. I got 600 out of 600. But there is something called as scaling or normalization. Based on this normalization, a percentage of the marks would be deducted for certain candidates in certain optionals. At that point of time, the percentage of marks that would be deducted was 10%. There is something called as scaling factor. There is something called as scaling factor. The scaling factor at that point of time was 0.9. So anyone's marks would be multiplied with 0.9. 0.9. Okay, that means 90% of the marks you are going to get for any given paper 1 or paper 2. Got that? Now why that scaling factor for mathematics? It's very simple, basic common sense only. Now if you look at other optional subjects like public administration or geography or history or Telugu literature or whatever subject, if you look at the averages of all the optionals together, mathematics used to have a higher average of what? All those people who have written the exam. Okay, mains examination. If you look at the average marks, it used to be higher compared to other optional subjects. Okay, now in order to balance these two optionals, what they used to do is they used to multiply the higher average optional with certain scaling factor to reduce it. And for that matter, other optional subjects also used to have another scaling factor bigger than 1, greater than 1, 1.01 or 1.1 or 1.05. Are you getting my point? So it would be multiplied with maybe 1.05 suppose. It means 5% of increment of other optional subjects, so that all the optionals will become, the average of all the optionals will become same. So it is only to see that average of all the optionals remains same. So for each of the optional subject, the scaling factor would be different depending upon the optional subject. Number one, depending upon that year average, that year standard of the question paper, and that year average mark. These statistical analysis is done by UPSC. They are very good at statistics. No doubt in this. Okay, they ensure that every optional is at the same level playing field. But at the same time, what happens? There would be certain people in specific optionals where they score extremely very high. Even if you reduce certain marks of those guys, but still that highest mark of that is way ahead of the highest mark of other optionals. That's what happened for mathematics. Though therefore the 540, it had been the highest score till now in any of the optional subjects in civil service exam. Okay, that happened in 1992 only. Of course, it so happened that later on, you know what was his score in physics? 500 or 505 or something like that. Okay, GS was there. There was no essay paper in 1992. Essay paper was introduced in 1993 because of these guys. Till 1992, there was no essay paper. Okay, you'll be surprised to know 1992 it so happened that top 20, 18 were engineers. 18 engineers. All of them used to have, you know what were their optional subjects? Mathematics, physics, some of them chemistry, and their engineering subjects. Engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, like that. Okay, they were all engineers only. 18 were engineers. One MBBS guy, other is from humanities. That was the story then. Okay, that's how I came to know about scaling. Okay, now scaling is to ensure that every optional subject has level playing field. Now I'll tell you one simple this thing. Take the same 20 marker question in mathematics. Same 20 marker question, maybe suppose PubAd. I'm just giving an example from humanities. Okay, now looking at these two, considering scaling also, how many marks you can expect for a 20 marker in mathematics? Worst scenario is 70%, as I told you. Okay, 70%, it can be 75 or 8. One more thing before going into this. Now, earlier, initial days, the scaling used to be like for the entire optional subject. Paper 1 and paper 2, it used to be the same scaling factor. Okay, for the total marks, they used to multiply with the scaling factor. Later on, it so happened that they divided that into two parts. Paper 1 used to be a different scaling factor. Paper 2 used to have a different scaling factor. So paper 1 used to be somewhere around 0.8 kind of for mathematics, 0.9 for paper 2 in mathematics. Okay, so different scaling factors for each of the papers, and that continued. I think even today also we have similar kind of scaling factor. The numbers might be different, but yes, we have two different scaling factors for paper 1 as well as for paper 2. Generally, paper 2 you can score very high because the scaling factor is a little bit bigger one. Got it? Anyway, now coming to this one, mathematics and PubBat, 20 marker, the worst scenario, what you can get is 70%, which is 14 marks. Now look at PubBat. What might be the highest score you can expect in PubBat for a 20 marker question? Highest score. I am not talking about lowest score. I am talking about highest score. Your answer is perfect, not perfect. Whatever the key, whatever the answer template that the paper evaluator has got. He has got, paper evaluator has got a key, right? So these are the 10 points I am expecting from an answer. All the 10 points, dot 10 points are presented in your answer. What is the maximum that you can expect? Okay, let us take 12. Still we have an advantage. Still we have a 10% advantage in mathematics. In terms of numbers, you can easily see that. Yeah.
They have a scaling factor of higher than 1 or less than 1?
No, there is nothing like higher than 1 now. These days, mathematics itself is given very, because the number of candidates who are appearing for mathematics as an optional subject, okay, that number itself is low. Okay. And it's so happening that nowadays it is little bit strict in evaluation, especially for sciences. The paper is also very, very lengthy. Okay. So since the numbers itself is very low, the average is also coming out to be little low because people are getting either very high scores or very low scores. Okay. Because the accuracy is missing. Since the length of the paper is bigger one, people try to attempt as many questions as possible. They go with speed, but the accuracy is coming down. Therefore, there are so many people who are getting a score which is very, very, very low, very, very much low compared to the average in mathematics or other sciences because the paper is lengthy. Now, if you are little smart, if you do a lot of practice, you can always cross that average. The crossing of that average all depends upon your practice levels. In mathematics, you know what happens? Out of 250, there are people who score 170. There are people who score even 70 also. And 70 to 100, there will be so many people. Not that these two people have different levels of knowledge. No. The level of knowledge that they have in the entire paper, but these guys and these guys, more or less nearly would be same. Once you learn something in mathematics, you know it, how to do that. But the only problem with these guys is they forego that accuracy levels because they want to attend more number of questions. Without maintaining accuracy levels, if you increase speed is useless, you will land up here. With accuracy, if for physical anthropology, for certain questions, a part of maybe 25% of anthropology is physical anthropology, which is completely science. It is completely science, biological science. Okay, there yes, people can score high, provided you are good at that. Okay. Now, when it comes to scaling factors in all other optional subjects, today there is no clue actually. I'm telling you, there is no clue. No one can predict like, yeah, this is a scaling factor in anthropology, this is a scaling factor in mathematics, this is scaling factor in public administration. No clue at all. Because every year things are changing very rapidly. Things are changing very, very rapidly. And that's what maybe UPSC is expecting. Like they don't want us to know about what exactly is the phenomena going on inside. Okay. Anyway, of course, they never reveal. See, again, the scaling factor, I'm telling you, this is all hypothetical phenomena. Whether it really happens in UPSC, no one knows. Till today, there is no documental proof about scaling factor or normalization given by UPSC. UPSC has never ever revealed that till now. So it's all hypothetical scenario, and that is working out actually. As far as when we write your answers, when you come out of your examination hall, when you think of the scaling factor and you multiply that, whatever you are expecting, multiply with the scaling factor, generally you get those marks. It means that somewhere our prediction is going correct. Therefore, scaling factor is there. And to some, if you look at this one, there is a bigger scaling factor here. They don't even get 60% of marks, right? So here is the scaling is more here when compared to here. Okay, but anyway, that's what is humanities. But it is easy to score average in humanities, but in mathematics, crossing that average is more important rather than just getting the average. Okay. Anyway. Okay, so understood these two parts? Only two things. One is precision is important, which is accuracy. Without accuracy, talking about mathematics is useless. Don't even think of it. If you think like, sir, even if I do tremendous practice, but still I cannot get accuracy level, don't take maths. You take maths only if you think that, yes, with practice, I can get my accuracy levels. If you can assure yourself that, yes, with practice, practice is something which is mandatory, irrespective of any option that you take. You have to do that practice. But maybe that for mathematics, you will do more practice. Yes, we'll do more practice, definitely. But if you have that confidence that, yes, I can get my accuracy levels with practice, then mathematics would be your best option. Okay, speed is something based on time we can actually get that speed. Of course, for speed also we need accuracy. Okay. Now remember one thing which is very important here is when you are trying to maintain speed, we try to cut down your steps. Is it or not? General tendency is when you want to complete your answer speed with very, very fast speed. Now what happens? You try to cut down certain steps. The two things that will happen. When you cut down your steps, your procedure would be sacrificed. When you cut down your steps, your final answer may not be so accurate enough. So it's not just increasing speed. You should always ensure that with speed, you are not losing anything. Not losing the steps, not even losing the accuracy levels. That's how the practice should happen. For that, what generally I suggest is this, for timing, you forget about the speed. For timing, always ensure that whatever you do it 100% accurate. Once you complete the entire syllabus, when you start revising, you know what you have to do. Along with the revisions, you also supposed to do some kind of practice tests. Test series kind of. That is the time where you have to start increasing your speed. Till that time, never ever think of speed. Speed comes later, but accuracy is something which you have to maintain right from day one. Day one till the end, accuracy has to be maintained till the end. No escape on that. Okay? Once you felt that, yes, my accuracy levels are extraordinary, then slowly increase your speed without sacrificing your procedure. If you sacrifice your procedure, losing 2-3 marks in each of the question is useless. What's the point? What's the point in losing 2 to 3 marks in each of the question? That doesn't make any sense. At the same time, losing that procedure or steps also sometimes may lead to inaccurate answer, which again is a suicidal. Okay? So in that context, my suggestion for you guys is you start maintaining accuracy levels. till the end, from day one till the end, but in between somewhere, when you got complete idea about the subject content, then start increasing speed with your revisions. Whenever you do that revisions, you start increasing the speed. Okay? ఇంకా ఇంతే మ్యాథ్స్లో ఎంతకన్నా ఏముండదు చెప్పడానికి. Okay. Now, how much time frame it requires? Time frame minimum 5 months. Minimum 5 months for first learning. 5 months for first learning. What does it mean? First time when you start working from today, suppose, it takes for you to complete the syllabus in 5 months. First learnings, okay? It means that to complete all these 13 chapters, which I'm going to discuss after this, 13 chapters, okay? It takes 5 months. My effort this year would be to reduce that 5 months to 4 months. Okay? Now, the first learnings, what should be included in the first learnings? First learnings will include lectures, class notes, homework, PYQs, previous year questions. These two anyway includes these PYQs. Entire class notes will have PYQs only, nothing else, as far as my lectures are concerned. Okay? The homework that I am going to give you also would be previous year questions only. Right? And apart from that, there might be some more previous year questions which you have to complete on daily basis. This is something which you have to do on daily basis. Okay? Plus, if at all you want to refer to any of the textbooks, reference books. Reference books can be certain materials that are available, or it can be certain directly textbooks itself. Okay? These are just reference books. It doesn't mean that you have to complete each and every question of these reference books. For example, ordinary differential equations by Rai Singhania, generally we go with that, Rai Singhania ordinary differential equations. In order to complete the entire chapter of ordinary differential equations, ODE, from Rai Singhania, it takes you 1 month. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of questions are there in that. Okay? But all those questions are not so relevant to our kind of exam. Our kind of exam requires us to be expert in certain level of questions, not every variety of questions. Okay? So we have different levels. Suppose from this level to this level, we have questions. UPSC doesn't ask questions here. UPSC asks questions only here. Here only, but not here. There might be certain questions here. UPSC doesn't go beyond certain limit. And you need to understand that this is where we have to stop our learnings in mathematics. Okay? That's more important. For that to understand, you need to regularly refer to previous year question papers. Okay? Once this is done in the first phase, the second phase would be your revisions and practice. Your revisions and practice. This is the time frame where you have to start test series. Test series. Test series is very important at that point, not here. Here, yes, maybe a unit test kind of in the classes, okay? But here, what is more important is you have to have a specific schedule of your own, or which syncs to any of the test series. And then with that test series, you complete the entire syllabus, okay? And then this is the time frame where you start increasing your speed. Focus on the speed. Accuracy is something which has to be maintained from day one till end. I told you, that cannot be compromised. You cannot even think of sacrificing your accuracy levels for the sake of just increasing your speed. No. Speed is important only to ensure that more number of questions are attempted. But till the time you have to maintain this accuracy levels. Without accuracy levels, there is no point of speed also. Okay. Now here is the place where at the time of test series, you start slowly increasing your speed. Generally, this takes 5 months. We try to see that this year it takes only 4 months. In fact, that is one of the reasons why we are keeping these classes in the afternoon, so that when we start class at 2 o'clock, 2 to 4:30 is the session, we can extend that session to 5 or 5:30 or 6 also in some of the days. In the morning session, it so happens that 10:30 when we start the class, 10:30 to 1. After that, we have to leave you basically. We have to give a break. I don't have a choice then. After 1 to 2, I have to give a break, and I cannot ask you to come back again at 2 o'clock. Instead, if the class directly is at 2 o'clock, then I have a chance to extend that session. That's how I've just shifted everything to afternoons. Okay? We'll have 2 teachers taking classes at the same time, so that we can complete our syllabus a little bit faster compared to previous years. All previous years, it so happened that after one teacher, another teacher would come. After one topic, another topic, another topic, another topic. But now we'll have 2 parallel topics which will go. Of course, not from day 1 onwards. So initially, I want you guys, all of you guys, to be in the same level. At this moment, I assume that not every one of you are at the same level. Okay, some of you still don't even recollect differentiation or integrations or 2D geometry formulae. If everyone is good at all those things, then it becomes easy for me to go ahead. But anyway, I'll come back to that later. Okay, and after this, the third phase would be like revisions and practice, nothing else. But by this time, you should have your revision notes available with you. Revision notes. This is the revision notes which you are going to revise here. Not only here, any 4th or 5th or 6th revisions that you are going to do. For all those revisions, it is only revision notes that you are going to practice, nothing else. And what will you have in these revision notes? Revision notes will have 2 things. One is the concepts or your shortcut formulae or whatever, plus this anyway would be there, the concepts and formulae. Okay, for example, ordinary differential equations, what are all those methods that we have, all the formulas that we have. Okay, and then along with that, most important thing is certain questions. What are these questions? You know, not only these questions plus hints. Questions plus hints. What are these questions and what are those hints? Now, first time when you are doing, suppose there are in a given subtopic, suppose there are 100 questions. First time when you are trying to solve these 100 questions, you are able to solve almost all the questions except for few questions. Maybe some out of 100, suppose there are 15 questions which you found that these are typical questions which I need to, unless I do a lot of practice, I will not be able to master these 15 questions. Rest of all those 85 questions, on the spot I was able to solve. But these 15 questions, they're a little bit tougher questions. They require, to master them, they require more practice. Then these are the 15 questions. When you further go with first revision, you need to identify all these 15 questions in the first instance. Okay? When you revise here, you don't need to do all those 85 questions. Because 85 questions in the first instance you are able to solve, means at any given point of time you will be able to solve all those 85 questions. But these are those 15 questions you need that revision. These are those questions which should be done here. Okay? Out of these 15 also, when you start revising things, then you understand, oh, this also is a simple question. Now I am able to understand this question. This might drop down to 7 to 8 questions. Getting that? But these 7 to 8 questions will always be there here. Will always be there. Along with your revision notes. Your revision notes not only will contain formulae or certain concepts, but also contains questions. What kind of questions? Not all these questions, which for you are important. For you are important. For you, it is important to revise before going to exam. And out of these 7 to 8 questions also, there might be 1 or 2 questions which require certain hints. While doing, see, in mathematics, everyone knows, there is not just only one way of solving question. You can always have another way of solving question. Are you getting that? Okay, or might be another way of solving that question. But based on your knowledge, your insights, you will be solving one way. That one way might give you an answer, but it might take hell lot of time. Instead of 5 minutes, it might be taking 15 minutes. Because at certain step, if you rearrange the terms, we'll get a shorter answer. If you don't rearrange, if you go like a monotonous way of solving questions, it might take a lot of time. You'll get answer, but it takes a lot of time. But in the final examination, we are here to save our time there. So that step where we require that rearrangement of those terms is a hint. Those kind of hints also have to be there. Where? Revision notes. So revision notes does not have only formulae. Revision notes will also have questions, those specific questions which you feel like more revisions are required. Plus, some of the questions you require certain hints also. I'm telling you, if you don't revise these hints in the final examination, again you will keep on solving in the routine way. But that step where you need that rearrangement of terms, if you miss that one, again you are wasting your time. In the examination hall, as soon as you look at the specific question, you will definitely, the hint also has to strike to you. This is the hint for this question. At that step, you rearrange the terms and solve it in a very shorter span of time. And so that you will get a final answer. Getting my point? These hints are important. If you don't have these hints, again, even if you increase speed also, useless. How to increase speed? There are different ways of increasing speed. One is with the practice, other is with these hints only. These are those hints which will give you that speed. And these are the hints you are going to revise. Every time you are going to revise those questions and those hints along with those formulae. Getting my point? I keep telling you when we try to solve certain questions in the class, I keep telling you like, for this question, yes, this is the answer we are getting, but this is a step. I will tell you, if you have like this, if you get the final answer, I will tell you, this is the step which has to be revised. That question should be there in your revision notes. That step also should be there in the revision notes. That is the hint for you. For certain questions, as soon as you look at the question, you need that hint immediately. Because the question itself is reframed, rearranged, right? Then you will get a hint there and then itself. Okay? That also you have to write. So for any given question, the hint is important. Those hints you have to revise most of the times. Okay? That ensures that you try to solve the question in a very, very short span of time, number one. Number two, that ensures that you increase speed without losing your accuracy levels. Getting my point? Any questions here? So, how many revisions are required? It's all up to you. Some people do 5 revisions, some people do 10 revisions. That's not the point. Seniors would have done more revisions. For that matter, in mathematics, what happens? The more revisions that you make, the better would be your recollection. Recollection of all these questions and hints. When you have better recollection of these questions and hints, you'll get better marks finally. Getting my point? And this is true in mathematics. This is true 90s even now also. The story is same. My point of time, it was the same story. We used to prepare all these things. Even your point of time also, you have to do that. Got it? So time frame, Again, the first revision generally, this is first revision, right? This is the first learning, but this is the first revision. First revision generally takes, if you have thoroughly prepared, if you have proper class notes and proper homework also is completed, previous questions also completed, reference books also completed, suppose in the first instance, it might be 4 months or 5 months, whatever it might be, then this would take 2.5 months. Once this is prepared, from there onwards, it would be 15 days to 20 days. But this has to be prepared. You know how my notes used to be? OD used to be a bigger notes for me, but rest of all of others used to be very, very small notes. Entire vector calculus used to be in 2 pages. 2 pages. Entire chapter of vector calculus used to be in 2 pages. This side, and another page, this side. That's it. It used to have formulae. It used to have hints for certain questions. Most important questions which generally I might not able to solve in the final examination. The question and the hint step. 2 pages. How much time it takes to revise those 2 pages? Just in hours, right? Like that. Okay. OD, yes, we used to have huge number of questions. Therefore, we don't want to leave any stone unturned in ODE or PDE. Therefore, we used to have bigger notes. But rest of all the topics, we used to have very, very shorter notes. Very, very shorter ones. Sometimes in single page also. Numerical methods, of course, it's only formula, nothing else is there. Therefore, it will be a little bit 4-5 pages. That's it. So that's how it has to be finally. It has to be as small as possible, but should be including everything that you are supposed to practice for your final exams. Okay? And this 15 days will become 5 days and become 2 days also later on. That depends upon the number of revisions you are doing. That depends upon the type of practice that you are going to undertake. That's how it goes. Got it? Fine. Okay, trend, as you know, the trend, like the scoring potential. See, more than trend, what I believe is getting 300 plus is important in maths. If you're less than 300, yes, 290s, 280s also is okay, but it becomes as good as any other optional subject. For scoring 280 or 290, you don't need to take mathematics. Okay, it should be 300 plus. 310, 320 or 320 plus 330 is really, really, really extraordinary score. And this is something people are achieving, not that this is not being achieved. This is something people are achieving every year, almost every year, might be 1 or 2 exceptions. Every year, people are crossing 300. Generally, there will be minimum 10 people who will be crossing 300 every year. Just check it out. I don't know. I never checked that. When people like you tell me this is what it is, then I verify it. Any idea? Someone who crossed 300? No, 322 is there, I know. 398. No, I don't. Is it so? 398? No.
So 290.
Achha, 298 is okay. Okay. 398 is not a feasibility. 322 is something which I know. I was aware of. Okay. Anything else? Prerequisites, as I mentioned, sources, plenty of material available. Plenty of material available for civil service mathematics. Unlike my time where we used to search for materials, but you have plenty of materials. See, we have so many reference books. So many reference books are there. These days, there are so many books specifically meant for civil services mathematics. You can directly refer to those reference books as well. Okay? You can download all these reference books in our website also. Website has a link basically. You can download, PDF is there. You can directly download from there. That keeps on changing if you want. That depends upon your interest levels. Certain people, see, after certain time, suppose ordinary differential equations, Rai-Singhania. Now, my time in North India, people used to follow some book called as N.M. Kapoor. In South India, people used to follow M.D. Rai-Singhania, especially in Hyderabad, because earlier it was only in Hyderabad that we have mathematics optional. No other place people used to take mathematics. Okay. Now, when people like me, when we went to Delhi, we started introducing M.D. Rai-Singhania in Delhi. So that's how people came to know about M.D. Rai-Singhania. Now, what we used to do in Hyderabad is, we used to complete M.D. Rai-Singhania. Also, we used to take certain questions of N.M. Kapoor which are not in Rai-Singhania. That used to be our collection. We used to have a collection. Now, what Rai-Singhania has done later on was, he revised his book and added that particular set of questions, the exclusive set of questions of N.M. Kapoor which are not in Rai-Singhania. He added all those questions as a bulk set of additional exercise material in Rai-Singhania. Now, Rai-Singhania has become bigger one, the bulky ones. Now, it has become so bulky that we have all the questions of all the things. Plus, Rai-Singhania started including previous question papers, questions of civil services and some other examinations also included in Rai-Singhania. So it has become still bulkier one. Now, this has become so bulkier that now I was telling, right, if you have to complete just ODE for Rai-Singhania, it will take 1 month to solve all the questions. Do we require to spend that much of time? No. Now, instead of all these things, we have materials available. We have materials available. My suggestion for you is, if you look at all previous year questions, if you take 15 to 20 years, since mathematics is static subject, static doesn't mean that physics related statics topic, okay? Subject as such is not dynamic in nature. Subject as such is static. Now, what happens in mathematics is, suppose you take any chapter, maybe suppose linear algebra, suppose. Assuming that linear algebra has got 10 topics. Okay. Out of these 10 topics, if you take each one of the topic, assuming that it has got some 50 questions. I'm just giving an example. Okay. Out of these questions, there would be some 10 questions which are relevant for UPSC. Relevant for UPSC. Rest of all those questions are not so relevant. Okay. These 10 questions, suppose, into 10 topics. These are 100 questions which are relevant for UPSC. Okay. Now look at UPSC. UPSC, when they start framing the question paper, first year, suppose they have to give 5 questions. They take 5 questions from here. Okay. And then after 20 years, what happens? All the questions are exhausted. 21st year, what they do? They don't create a question. UPSC never ever creates a question, new question. Why they don't create a question? Key becomes a problem. If they create a question, they're not sure about the key actually. The key might have different answers. Okay. Now the person who evaluates your answer script should be provided with all the keys. And the person who evaluates, because why he should be given all the keys? Because the person who evaluates your answer script comes from academic background. He might not be having complete idea about all the different varieties of solutions that are possible. Therefore, he should be provided with all those varieties of solutions that are possible, which is a very difficult affair even for UPSC also. So they will always look for those kind of questions where you have a unique answer. Are you getting? For example, I'll give one short. My time, what used to happen is like there's a lot of variation at that my point of time. Suppose numerical methods. Numerical methods. One of the methods is finding a root of an algebraic or a transcendental equation. Suppose you have a cubic equation, okay, or maybe x power 5, fifth order equation, okay. So for order or nth degree, whatever you call. So for nth degree equation, how many roots would be there generally? N roots, maybe real or imaginary. Maybe real or imaginary, you will have n roots. A fifth degree equation is given. The question would be, find a root of the fifth degree equation. Find a root of. Okay. Now what happens? Everyone will try to find his own root. Okay. There might be 5 real roots or only one real root. Other 4 might be pair of imaginary roots. Or there might be 3 real roots or 1 pair of imaginary roots, whatever. But there is a possibility that you can have 1, 3, 5 real roots. If that question has got this much of variation in answers, throughout India, so many people write so many different varieties of answer. How to evaluate those answer scripts? All of them might be right answers, but the evaluator should have an answer, a key, which should be unique one. Is it or not? Now what UPSC has done, you know? See, in order to avoid all these confusions, UPSC has become a little bit smarter. And what they did is, find the root that lies between 2 and 4. Are you getting my point? Find that exclusive root that lies between x equal to 2 and x equal to 4. Now what happens? Throughout India, everyone has to find that exclusive root, that unique root that lies between x equal to 2 and x equal. That's how UPSC has become today. At my point of time, it was not like that. Later on, slowly UPSC realized this factor. And they did not create a question here, but they just modified the question to such an extent that you will get a unique answer there. Are you getting my point? That way, throughout India, everyone should get a correct answer. If at all it's a correct answer, should get an answer which lies between x equal to 2 and x equal to 4 only. No other way. That's how UPSC goes. Therefore, they never ever create a question. They have to invariably give a question which is already there in the repository there. So in the 21st year, they don't have a choice. They have to give a question which comes from these 100 questions only. So that's how you get repetition of questions. So the repetition of questions is so high that depends upon the repository size here. I just given as an example, arbitrarily I have given this 100 questions. Okay. In some cases, it might be only 50 questions only. In some cases, it might be 200 questions also. But that all depends upon the repository and the given topic also. Okay. For ordinary differential equations, suppose you have plenty of questions. Okay. For vector calculus, we have very much limited number of questions. For 3-dimensional geometry, we have plenty of questions. Getting my point? So that's how the repository keeps on. That depends upon how much size of the repository on each of the chapter depends upon the chapter itself. Now, if you have 13 chapters like this, I'm just giving an example. If you have 13 chapters, maybe it would be 1300 questions. Of course, it will be more than that. It's a different story. Okay, I'm just giving a tentative. This is a repository now. This is the repository that you have. And UPSC has to give any question from this repository on. No other way out. Are you getting my point? So, try to solve last 20 years question papers. People say 10 years is sufficient, but my suggestion is go for 20 years. Why I'm saying 20 years is that if you see latest question paper also, for the past 3-4 years, not just last 1 year, for the past 3-4 years, if you see, you know what's happening in the UPSC. 5 years back. 5 years back. From there, you take another 10 years. All those 10 to 15 years, you know what happened? If you solve 10 years of question papers, that would be sufficient. Okay. Now, last 4 to 5 years, UPSC started giving questions from those areas where people don't try to answer a question. Gaps. In the entire syllabus, suppose, there are certain places where UPSC has not given a question. Not given a question for the past so many years. Now, what our people will do? They would have definitely not touched those areas. Because UPSC has not given for the past 10 years, UPSC has not given a single question in that particular model of question. So what quite obviously our people will do, they start neglecting that. That's where exactly UPSC started giving questions. Here is the place you'll get a question, here is the place there is a possibility of getting a question. One question like that in your command area, in the examination hall, what happens? Examination hall, what happens? Here is okay, listen to this is okay. But in the examination hall, what happens on that day? It happens the way prelims happened last time, May 20th. It was just a surprising element, but the question paper was easy one actually. But the statements were easy statements only. But people were not able to answer because it was a surprising element. Okay, anyway. That happens. So, in order to avoid all such things, you have to cover all these things also that is possible when you try to cover these 20 years. UPSC is going back. In time frame, UPSC is going back. Okay? Therefore, try to cover all those smaller elements as well. Don't leave anything unturned. I cannot talk about others. Maths, I can say. I'm not supposed to talk about others, right? I don't know. I don't think about other options. Okay? I don't know. To be frank, I don't know. I never, in fact, followed them. But yes, in generally I follow, but this is a very specific thing, right? This is so specific that unless you have subject knowledge with you, you will not be able to identify this one. Okay? And I can show you questions like this. For the past 5 years, I can show you questions like this. In the question paper, I can show this is the question which was not there for the past 10 years. 10 to 15 years also we can tell. But still, you have to learn that because of the reason that this is what it is. Because UPSC can anytime give you those questions. Suddenly in the examination hall, you cannot see surprises there. Okay? And it's happening in maths. Okay. Presentation, procedure, everything covered. Any questions here before I go into syllabus? Amanda, syllabus gelpata. There's no rule like that. Ten marker ke any steps undali, 15 marker ke any steps undali. Generally, you don't have that choice, you know. Because the space is limited. Space is limited in the sense, in the examination hall, the answer booklet is given. In that answer booklet, you have a question paper, answer booklet like this. This is the, if you look at each of the pages, other colors. It's here there is some indentation, UPSC. And bar ayachne kan indentation anamata, dots untayi. Okay? So here again you cannot write anything, and with red and black margin is there. Here also you cannot write anything. Okay, so what you can write is between these two red lines you can write here or here, and below this UPSC you can write. And even in this one also, for this page, the right hand side, you cannot write anything here. You cannot write anything here also. They will mention, do not write anything in this margin. If you write something, you will be penalized. What is the penalty, you know? Deduction of marks. Okay? Okay. Again, here there will be question number, suppose, and the question is given like this. Suppose. Okay? If it is a 10 marker question, suppose, if it is a 10 marker, you will be given scope of writing an answer only up till here. Here another question would be given. This is what is your answer booklet. So whatever you have to write in between from here, the end of the question, till the beginning of the next question. Getting my point? So how many steps you get is up to you. Okay? కొట్టేస్తాడు ఇట్లా. What is asking is, can we divide this into two parts like this and then answer? No. That becomes a rough work for him. Okay, it becomes a rough work. He will not evaluate, but he will strike it off. That becomes part of answer, right? See, if your answer you divide into like advantages, disadvantages, that's okay. Okay, that's okay. But it cannot be like you divide this into two parts. You divide this into two parts, you start writing here, the continuation of this here, and the continuation of this here, and then continuation of this here. No. No. You cannot write like that. You cannot divide like this. మీరు అలా చేశారంటే కొట్టి పడేస్తాడు అక్కడ. ఐడియా బాగుంది. ఇన్ని రోజులు ఎవరు ఇవ్వాలి ఈ ఐడియా. What else? Inka. Got it? So you have a space limitation. Now this is the biggest danger in this space limitation. Biggest advantage also is there in space limitation. There are two things here. One is the advantage, one is the disadvantage also. The disadvantage is, there are two disadvantages. One is that you write an answer, somewhere you felt like the way you are doing an answer is wrong, therefore you have to strike it off. Then you don't have enough space to write. Got my point? Got my point here? So that becomes the biggest hurdle. So if you have to attempt this question, you should ensure by yourself by the time that this is the way you have to answer this question and I am going to get an answer with this method. For that you have to do some rough work also. Got my point? Number one. Second problem. If the question itself has got some kind of a matrix, a bigger matrix, 5 by 5 matrix. Five by 5 matrix. Find the rank of the matrix. Find the rank of the 5 by 5 matrix or 6 by 6 matrix, suppose. Now what happens? ఈ మొత్తాన్ని మళ్ళీ నువ్వు రాసేసరికి ఇంకోటి వస్తుంది ఇక్కడ అయిపోయి స్పేస్ పైన. Now you have to ensure that 5 by 5 you write in such a way that in this itself you have to get your 5 by 5. Another 5 by 5 you should be able to incorporate. Your font size should be managed accordingly. So that the next one, another 5 by 5 here, another, because we don't know after how many operations you will get final answer. You don't know that. Are you getting my point? And then this has to be continued here like this. So all these things you have to manage properly in the examination hall. And one more big challenge here. Along with this English question, you will be given a Hindi question also. And some more space will be lost. Are you getting my point? So there is so much of space constraint there. Now thinking of steps itself is a big trouble now. So how many steps are required? Getting my point? So it's not about how many steps. It's about how to write this answer within the limited space available to you. And then you know what is the biggest advantage here? You can skip some steps here. Because space is not there. How would you complete? How would you write the entire procedure? Not possible. Not possible to write the entire procedure. Now it also means that given the limited number of space, it also means that UPSC has given a right to exclude certain steps. Now you don't require to give all the steps. Earlier we used to give so many steps. That is not relevant today. That's what I was telling. There is some kind of flexibility that is given by UPSC in terms of writing all the steps. This is how it has come. So without actually mentioning about it, now because of that space constraint itself, now we got that opportunity to curtail certain steps, to skip certain steps. So that, but again, accuracy is important. Accuracy, you cannot forego that accuracy. Accuracy is foremost important. Got it? That you cannot forego at any given point of time. Understood this point? And I'm telling you, there are certain questions which are 20 marker questions also. 20 marker questions, generally you will be given 1, 2, 3 pages. But part of the space is already gone. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Now within that space itself, you have to complete your answer providing beautifully all the steps, the relevant steps. With proper explanation, proper procedure, then you'll get full marks. That is the practice. So that's why I tell right from the beginning, you first ensure that you always practice in this kind of papers. As of now, the first level of learnings, this is okay. The kind of notes that you have, that is okay. When I said that in the first revision, when you are doing the first revision, you go with the test series, right? From there onwards, you have to have these kind of notes with you. These kind of papers where you have to practice. You should know the limitation of space. Getting my point? And one more thing, you cannot strike off anything here, because when you strike off means you lost the space. You lost the space means you'll become panic, and then I don't know whether you get an answer or not also. Now the question would be, sir, since we cannot lose space here, then the problem would be, where do I do my rough work? How much rough work they are going to give? You know how much rough work they are going to give? 1 page this side and this side. 1 page this side and this side they are going to give. At the most 2 pages like that. Waste of time. Erasing itself is waste of time. You don't have that much time there. I will tell you a shortcut. Simplest way. Now that you should be a little smarter here. You definitely know that there are certain questions which you are not going to attempt. Huh? You definitely know that there are certain questions which you are not going to attempt. Suppose this question you are not going to attempt. Now this becomes your rough work. You write whatever, but you just cross it and mention rough. Or else mention cancelled. When you write cancelled, they are not going to evaluate it. Are you getting that? That itself becomes your rough work. But ensure that you write that cancelled in the end. Or else even your rough work would be evaluated. Getting my point? But you should know that you are not going to attempt that question. And in fact, you should know before attempting a question that whether you are going to attempt it or not. Because you will be given a complete question paper also. Along with the answer booklet, you will be given a complete question paper also, in which your initial fight of at least 5 minutes you are going to spend which question to attempt, which you are not going to attempt. But there will be certain questions definitely you are not going to attempt. Those are those questions, the space relevant for those questions would become your rough work. That all depends on your practice. I'm telling you, practice. This also, the rough work also you have to practice before going in the final examination hall. This is practice cheyali. Examination hall loki elle mundu yenni telusu undali. Okay? Because which question to choose itself is a big question mark there. The final exam. Okay? So that also has to be practiced. Kada? Questions? From my point of view, the space constraint is an advantage. It's really an advantage. Because if you have done enough practice, The advantage, because of the reason that you can attend more number of questions now because of the space constraint, you cannot write all the steps. So you can curtail your steps. That's good enough. So your speed will increase now. Okay, fine. Syllabus. Any more questions before going into that? Syllabus part? Paper 1. Paper 2. Okay. Each one of them has two sections. Section A and Section B. Section A and Section B. Section A has got topics like linear algebra, what do we have in linear algebra? I think you know matrices. Telsu kada? Matrices. Matrices is only 50% of linear algebra. But before forming a matrix, we have certain concepts like vector spaces, subspaces, and all this stuff. Okay? And something called as a linear transformation. But linear transformation, when we convert that, when you transform that, we get a matrix. Okay? So linear transformation and a matrix, we see them as similar ones. Whatever the linear transformation, we have an associated matrix. Whatever the matrix that we have an associated linear transformation. So all the properties of linear transformation are applicable to even the matrix. Okay? Suppose this is a non-singular linear transformation. The matrix also becomes a non-singular matrix. ఈ టెర్మినాలజీ ఎప్పుడు అర్థమవుతుంది అంటే మన మ్యాథ్స్ బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ అంటే అర్థమవుతుంది కదా. ఎనీవే ఓకే ఫైన్. అయితే మీరేంటంటే సినిమా చూసినట్టు చూడండి కొద్దిసేపు అంతే, ఎట్లా వచ్చారు కాబట్టి తప్పదు కదా, వెళ్ళిపోవచ్చు, ఏం కదా, నేనేమనుకోను, ఎవరేమనుకోరు. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు లీవ్, యూ కెన్ లీవ్ ఎట్ ఎనీ గివెన్ పాయింట్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్, డోంట్ వరీ. ఓకే, ఐ డోంట్ ఫీల్ బ్యాడ్, అదర్స్ ఆల్సో డోంట్ ఫీల్ బ్యాడ్, బికాస్ ఇఫ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ irrelevant ఫర్ యూ, డోంట్ ఫీల్ బ్యాడ్. ఓకే, బట్ ఇఫ్ యూ ఫీల్ లైక్ ఓకే బాగానే ఉంది స్టోరీ వింటానికంటే ఏనండి. ఓకే, లీనియర్ ఆల్జీబ్రా. ఓకే, now most of the students they feel like, especially those who come from engineering background, in linear algebra they are really comfortable in matrices part, very comfortable in matrices, but the precursor of matrices, which is vector spaces, subspaces, and then linear transformation, they are not aware of it. Some of them at least. That depends upon the kind of college that you studied in your graduation. Okay, but that is not at all a difficult one. Okay, that is not at all a difficult one. It is easy one, provided you understand a little theoretical background of that. Okay, that all depends upon the kind of learnings that you had in your graduation level. Okay, but don't just think like only matrices. Yes, matrices are there, but there is a precursor to matrices. That is also very, very important. Unless you understand that, you will not be able to appreciate the matrices part. And whatever matrices that you learned in your maybe +2 level or graduation might be at the basic level. But here we are going to little bit advanced level of matrices, where we learn little bit, we'll go little deeper inside and then look into what happens at different levels. Okay, it's very, very, very interesting area, linear algebra, right? A very good topic here. And then we have calculus. Calculus, I think everyone understands what is calculus. Differential calculus and then integral calculus. Okay, and again the point is, don't expect your +2 level of calculus here. We have advanced level of differential calculus and advanced level of integral calculus. We'll go with advanced levels. For example, in the +2 level, if you remember, you would have done, if at all, some of you would have done maybe differential calculus by, what is that name? Shanti Narayan, or integral calculus by Shanti Narayan. Suppose if someone would have done that, it's basic level. We'll go a little bit deeper into this. Maybe some of you who prepared for IIT entrance, or some of you are already IITs, suppose, might be going little bit deeper into differential calculus or integral calculus, maybe a little bit advanced level. We'll go much beyond that. Okay, we'll go much beyond that. Okay, it's more interesting to actually calculus, na? More than basic level of calculus, advanced level of calculus is more interesting. You will feel the joy of solving a very big question in very small number of steps. The joy would be there, because suppose triple integral, okay, you will get that integral limits and you keep on doing. After so many steps you'll get an answer. But in one step, if I get an answer using a specific method, the triple integral becomes one single line integral. Then the joy of solving that would be a different level. That kind of kick annadu untadu chusara, aa kick ostadi ikkada. Enjoyment ostadi ikkada, provided you understand those methods. Okay, and then comes three-dimensional geometry. Three-dimensional geometry. బాగా రెస్ట్లెస్గా ఉన్నావు అనిపించలేదా? ఓకేనా? ఓకే, నాకు అనిపిస్తూ ఉంటుంది అనమాట అప్పుడు. యా ప్లీజ్ గో హెడ్. అంటే మ్యాథ్స్ కాదు ఇది, అయితే బయట అడుగు, అవుట్ సైడ్ ద క్లాస్. ఇక్కడ ఎందుకు టైం వేస్ట్ కదా. ఓకే, 3D geometry. Now remember 3D geometry, earlier at my time we used to have 2D geometry as well as 3D geometry as part of my syllabus, but today in fact there's so many changes that happened in math syllabus last 25 years to 30 years, but anyway you are all irrelevant for that. 3D geometry is something which is part of our syllabus, which is very interesting one. We have huge varieties of questions in that. Every model you have to solve. Again, last 20 years are important here. Now, I have seen certain models which 5 years back, if you look at 10 years from there. 5 years back, if you look at 10 years from back there. Okay, there were no such model that was asked. The last 5 years, people started fumbling down in the examination hall, because of the specific model was not given last 10 years. Therefore, I'm not able to solve it. Some people, whoever got insight into that, they will be able to solve it. Okay, but not everyone will be able to solve, because it's not just about practice, it's about certain cases insights also. Now what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not about insights. You try to solve 20 years of question papers, you'll get all those insights. Why you should lose that another 10 years, right? Because even on the, see, if you look at 20 years, what do I mean by 20 years? Today you are, last 10 years if you see, another 10 years back. Okay, you know what happens? This 10 years also, most of these 10 years questions are repeated. Is it or not? At least 80% of these 10 years questions are already repeated here. Is it or not? Hai na? What remains is only those 20% only, na? That's what I'm asking you to do. That 20% along with this 10 years, that's it. It might be just 12 years only, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. But doesn't mean that just 10 plus 2 years, no. 10 plus 10 years only, but this 10 years means that only additionally 2 years only you are doing. That's it. That's what it means. Got my point? Because everything is almost repeated. Everything is almost repeated. Not just every 10 years or 20 years you will get repetition. No, it's not like that. Within next 2 to 3 years also you'll get repetition. That's possible. That's there already. So my suggestion for you guys is, don't miss any of those last 20 years previous question papers, whatever. Don't leave any model. Don't leave any model. When you start reading a chapter, you should be an expert of that chapter. Every model given in that chapter, you should be an expert, at least for the last 20 years of models. Okay? Now, let us come to section B, which contains ordinary differential equations. We have partial differential equations here. Ordinary differential equation as part of paper 1 syllabus. Ordinary differential equations is all about 2-dimensional geometry. Okay, 2-dimensional geometry at your +2 level, you would have done so many things. Maybe straight lines, pair of straight lines, circles, ellipses, parabolas, hyperbolas, blah 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 blah. The entire applications of the 2-dimensional geometry we'll see in ordinary differential equations. Okay, fine. And then what we have here is again statics, physics related topics, statics and dynamics here. Okay, statics and dynamics, physics related topics. Remember, though we call them as physics related topics, the concepts are physics related, but the type of questions or the problems that we have will be mathematically related. Okay, there are more of mathematics than physics there. Concepts are physics, no doubt. Concepts are physics, but more of mathematics is involved in this. You will try to apply those mathematical principles to solve all those physics related questions. So the concepts of your +2 level statics and dynamics still hold good here. They still hold good here. Okay, and then there will be some slighter extension of that, and then we try to solve those questions mathematically. So we'll use a lot of mathematical principles here in solving them. That's how these topics have come into our mathematics syllabus. Okay, and there are a lot many people who fear about this statics and dynamics concepts, but it's nothing to fear here. It's just that you would have forgotten all those physics concepts. Okay, now we try to revive all those physics concepts, but only thing is, again, I'm telling you, there's so many questions to solve here. So many models are there. So many questions you have to solve. Again, I told you, right, first time when you do this, you collect everything, okay, and then try to prepare such a short notes in the first revision, and then those questions relevant to you along with the hints, right? That is something which you have to do for every topic, more or less, for this one. Because unless you revise that question before going to examination hall, it becomes very difficult for you to answer it in the final exam. I'm 100% sure of that. Because I have seen certain students earlier, I don't want to mention the names, a gem of students, the mistakes that they have done. That's more important, right, to talk. One of the students, exceptional guy in mathematics, I would say that he would have got more knowledge than me. Though he was my student, but he would have got better knowledge when compared to me. Because the reason that when I tell him to solve this book, he not only solves that book, some 2-3 books around it also he will solve. Okay, and this is all about civil service preparation. I told him, you solve only this one. Now you are supposed to solve only that. When you go beyond that, what happens? What happens? His notes on OD itself is bigger than Rai Singhania. Bigger than Rai Singhania. Are you getting my point? His notes itself is bigger than Rai Singhania. For each of the chapters, he has a bigger notes compared to the reference book itself. Forget about class notes. Class notes will be very small subset, right? Class notes is obviously a very small subset. But his notes is bigger than the textbook. Now, what does it mean? Can he revise all these things before going to examination? No. Not even a single chapter he will be able to answer. Out of 600, he used to get 120, 130 out of 600. Not one single paper. Imagine, why? Is there any knowledge gap there? Nothing, right? Everything is there. He knows everything. But he will not be able to answer a single question because he did not revise properly, because he doesn't have time to revise. Too much of anything is highly dangerous. See, always try to prepare revision notes. That is more important than whatever your learnings are. In 5 months, whatever you are learning is not so important compared to whatever you are going to create in revisions. Revisions are more important than the actual learnings. Revisions should be as short as possible. You make those revisions as short as possible so that you will make more number of revisions. And more number of revisions ensures that you are going to recollect everything in the examination hall. Getting my point? Important here. And then what we have is vector calculus, considered to be most easiest. Vector calculus, like Green's theorem, Gauss theorem, Stokes theorem, divergence, curl. Okay, heard about them, right? Very, very easy topic. Okay. Now, okay, let me give hints about this one also. Modern algebra section A is modern algebra. Also, people call it abstract algebra, because the concept of this modern algebra or abstract algebra is completely abstract in nature. You don't find many numbers here. So a lot of imagination should be there. A lot of things you try to feel them rather than looking at them. In mathematics, generally you start looking at them. That's what generally we believe. But actual mathematics all about you feel it. Okay, that's how you're going to feel in abstract algebra. That is more important in abstract algebra. Anyway, engineering side candidates, you will find little bit difficulty in abstract algebra or modern algebra, provided if you have never ever seen it. Suppose groups, fields, rings, I don't know, లేదు కదా, అందుకని ఇది కొద్దిగా అందుకే abstract లో ఉంటుంది మీకు కొద్దిగా. Engineering candidates generally find it little bit difficult, but is very interesting one, provided you have a proper teacher. The teacher is important in this case. Okay, that is modern algebra. There is something called as a real analysis. Real analysis again, almost 80% of real analysis is your calculus of paper 1. Real analysis is considered to be mother of calculus, or maybe calculus we call it as applications of concepts of real analysis. So it's kind of a child of real analysis. Okay, so when you completed this calculus here, it also means that 80% of paper 2 real analysis is already done. So what we require to learn is that 20%. The 20% we just need to learn it. And then there is something else also called as the complex analysis. You would have analysis. Okay, okay. Complex analysis, not everyone would have heard about this complex analysis. You would have heard about complex numbers. Complex variable might be. Okay, now this complex analysis goes much beyond all these things, and then it's very interesting topic, provided you really understand it. To be frank with you guys, if you don't listen to the first class, you will not understand anything throughout the class, throughout these lectures. That kind of a topic, or in between something you missed any class, after that you will not understand anything. That's how this complex analysis is. Very conceptual, looks to be complex, but actually it's simple. At least when I teach it, I make it as simple analysis rather than complex analysis. That's my skill in complex analysis. Okay, and then for your kind information, this generally is not BSc concept. This is MSc concept. Masters, I don't know how many, someone would have BSc law. Okay, BSc. Okay, my teacher, he taught this complex analysis in his academics for almost 1 year. For 2 semesters he teaches this. Okay, the same thing when I teach in my classes, I will complete it in 6 classes. The entire complex analysis I will complete in 6 classes. And surprising ఉండొచ్చు, 6 కాదు 5 యాక్చువల్గా. మీరు భయపడతారేమో 6 అని చెప్పాను. Okay, 12.5, suppose 13 hours వేసుకో. 13 hours I will complete this entire complex analysis, because of the reason that what we require in this complex analysis for our civil services exam. That is important rather than learning the entire complex analysis. Complex analysis is so huge, of which this is our civil services complex analysis. You learn that, you'll be able to answer all the questions of UPSC. Last 20 years of questions of UPSC you will be able to answer in that 13 hours of classes. You require more than that? Saripodda? Or else you require 1 year of classes. That is important for civil services. See, you learn only those things which are relevant to this exam. I was giving another example. One of my student, his notes itself is bigger than the reference book. Now, if you try to prepare like that, you are unfit for civil services. Are you getting that? Now the point is, what is relevant, what is not relevant for your exam, you have to identify clearly. When I say open this page, open this book and go to page number 74, read page number 74, then read only page number 74. If you read 73 and 75, you are wasting your time. At least I feel that for civil services, you don't require that. But if you are preparing for some other examination, that's a different story. Okay, because I used to teach, or not teaching these days, I used to teach for some other competitive examinations as well, which I am not teaching now. There, we require to teach them much beyond civil services exam. Okay, but today, as of now, it is not required in your case. Therefore, I will not be teaching whichever crosses our limits in civil services. Not even one step going beyond UPSC. No. But where we have to go, I will tell you. That we'll go. That's up to sure. But where we don't require to go, when I tell that don't go, that's it. No other questions. Okay. Next one is linear programming. Linear programming. There is something called as a chapter, a big subject, which is called as operations research, or operations research, which has got so many subtopics as linear programming, non-linear programming, integer programming, dynamic programming, PERT, CPT, and then game theory. Anyone heard about game theory? Any prominent person in game theory? తెలీదా నా ఇంటర్వ్యూ క్వశ్చన్ అది. My options were mathematics and psychology. In 2003, when I went to interview, the question was, so your options were mathematics and psychology. Can you mention the name of a person who is related to mathematics and psychology? John Nash. Game theory, yeah? Game theory, right? అప్పట్లో ఒక మూవీ వచ్చింది. మూవీ నేమ్ ఇస్ బ్యూటిఫుల్ మైండ్. చూసారు ఎవరన్నా? బ్యూటిఫుల్ మైండ్. చాలా బాగుంటుంది మూవీ. జాన్ నాష్ గురించి అది. దో హీ ఈజ్ అ మ్యాథమెటిషియన్ బేసికల్లీ హూ సఫర్డ్ విత్ సైకలాజికల్ డిసార్డర్. సో మ్యాథమెటిక్స్, సైకాలజీ, బ్యూటిఫుల్ మైండ్, 2003. సో మెనీ ఆస్కార్స్ ఫర్ దట్ మూవీ. కావాలంటే వెళ్ళి చూడండి, మూవీ బాగుంటుంది. Okay, regarding game theory. Anyway, so we have so many things there in operations research. All those things were part of my syllabus, but today your syllabus is completely truncated. Only linear programming that you have as part of your syllabus. No non-linear programming, no integer programming, no dynamic programming, no game theory, nothing. Nothing is there. Okay, it's only just linear programming, nothing else. What do we have in linear programming? You have some graphical method, basic level, sixth standard graphical method, literally sixth standard. Okay, and then simplex method, transportation problem, assignment problem. That's it. Okay, simple things. That's what for all practical purposes, these two topics are treated as one topic, because if you see, every section has the 3 chapters. So here also 1, 2, these two together truncated and have become one chapter. When it comes to section B, we have partial differential equations. So when you have more than 2 dimensions, then we go with partial differential equations. And then we have numerical methods and elements of computer programming. Numerical methods and elements of computer programming. So we have so many numerical methods. One of the most easiest one again here, the numerical methods only require is formulas you have to remember, and then the method you have to practice, and certain other simple concepts in numerical methods. And computer programming doesn't mean that we have to learn a language here. No language you require to learn here. It's just elements of computer programming. Elements of computer programming means flowcharts, and then algorithms, and then Boolean algebra. That is the one. Okay, that's it, right? And those algorithms and flowcharts for all those numerical methods mentioned in the syllabus. Plus, though they mention that, they can ask anything. They can ask anything there. Okay, and the last one would be mechanics. And then hydrodynamics or fluid dynamics, people call hydrodynamics. Okay, Again, similar, the same status of statistics and dynamics, we have it for mechanics and hydrodynamics. Okay, this is what the syllabus is. Now, the point is how to make a strategy of your own. In the first level, when I mentioned here in the first stage, we have different stages, right, that I mentioned. This is the first revision, and then second revision, third revision, it keeps going. So this is completely learning phase. Learning phase, you are going to learn everything in this first phase. You definitely are going to learn each and everything, all these chapters, almost 13 chapters that we have. Okay, you are going to learn everything here. Okay, then for the first revision, that you are going to start forming your own strategy. What kind of a strategy that you have to form? For that, just let me give you some story behind this. Okay, to form a strategy. Now, how the question paper is framed? The structure of the question paper: section A, section B. If you look at the syllabus, syllabus doesn't mention section A and section B, but still, for the paper setter, hidden, there is some understanding that first 3 chapters belong to section A, second 3 chapters belong to section B. Though it is not mentioned as part of your syllabus, if you see that, it's not mentioned in your syllabus, section A, section B in mathematics. Okay. Now, for the paper setter, this is section A, this is section B. Now, what happens? Altogether, there would be 8 questions that would be asked, given, of which you have to answer only 5 questions. Each question 50 marks, making it as 250 marks. Okay. Okay. The first question is a compulsory question. 5th question also is a compulsory question. Okay. Now, I will give you some small history behind all these things, how the structure has come up to this level, the level that we have it today. But before that, I just need to explain certain things. At some point of time, maybe more than 1.5 decade back, if you see the question papers, okay, 15 to 20 years back, first question used to have 6 sub-questions, of which you are supposed to write 5, each one 10 marks, so 50 marks here. Is that okay? Understood? You have still a choice there in the first question also. Earlier, at some point of time, almost 1.5 to 2 decades back. Linear algebra completely used to be the second question. Calculus used to be the third question. Geometry used to be the 4th question. Now, if you look at the first question, there used to be 2 sub-questions from linear algebra, 2 10 markers, each one is a 10 mark, 2 10 markers from calculus, 2 10 markers from 3D geometry. So 6 10 markers, of which you are supposed to write only 5 10 markers. 5 into 10 is 50. Second, altogether is linear algebra only. 50 marker, 50, 50 like this. Again, 5th question, 2 from ODE, 2 from statistics and dynamics, 2 from vector calculus. So 5 out of 6 you have to write. This used to be 6th question, this used to be 7th question, this used to be 8th question. Understood? This used to be at some point of time. Okay? Now, if that is the case, what should be the strategy of your preparation? Now, again, first question is compulsory, 5th question is compulsory, and at least one more question from each of the sections. So 1 plus 1, 4 questions. 5th question you can attend from anywhere. Is it okay? That's how it is, question paper framing, right? Now the least efforts required to attempt such a paper would be, since for everyone ODE is very easy, they used to prepare ODE. Along with that, from this side, it would be generally either linear algebra or calculus. You take any one of the chapters, suppose linear algebra. Because matrices is there, everyone is comfortable on matrices. Now what happens? Only 2 chapters out of 6. Only 2 chapters. How many marks you will be able to attempt? Suppose only ODE. Here I will be able to attempt 50 marks. Right? Is it or not? 50 plus 2 10 markers I will be able to attempt. 50 plus 20 is 70. That means if I read only ordinary differential equation, the number of marks that I will be able to attempt would be 70, provided I am an expert of ODE. Very good. Every question, every given question, I know how to answer it. So ODE 70. Okay. Same thing with linear algebra also. Another 70. 2 chapters only, 140 already I am able to attempt. 2 chapters only. Okay. Now what? Out of remaining chapters, I will choose one more chapter. Suppose vector calculus, another easy chapter. Okay. Another 70. What happened? 210 out of 250 by reading only 50% of the syllabus. You understand that? By reading only 50% of the syllabus, you will be able to attempt 210 out of 250. What is missing here? 4 10 markers. What is missing here? Only 4 10 markers only. Okay. Suppose if you also complete calculus, another 2 10 markers come into picture. So it will be 230 out of 250. Now attempting 210, 220 itself is a big affair out of 250. Okay. Now what is the point in reading those chapters which you are not going to attempt? Getting my point? Already 230 covered. For those 20 marks, which anyway I am not going to attempt in the final examination, what is the point in reading this entire huge chapter? Getting my point? That's how the strategy used to be earlier. Now what is today? What is the today's phenomena? Okay, the today's phenomena is, this is not, the second question is not only linear algebra. The second question is not only linear algebra. The second question will contain 2 questions of linear algebra, maybe 1 question of calculus. Second question, so third question would contain 1 question of linear algebra, maybe 1 question of calculus, maybe another 1 question of geometry also. This may contain 2 questions of calculus, or 1 question of calculus, or 2 questions of geometry. I'm just giving arbitrarily. Not necessarily that it should be always be like this. It keeps changing that ratios. Okay. But somewhere or the other, this question, if you need to attempt at least another chapter, you should be good at. Or you will choose those chapters. See, I'm telling you one thing. It's not possible for everyone to get mastery over all the chapters, entire syllabus. Don't expect you to be an expert of all the chapters. There will be certain weak areas. How to tackle those weak areas, we'll see it later. Because as I told you, in the first level, we are going to read everything. But in the first revision, that the second stage is something where you have to strategize your preparation. Where you are good at, where you are not so good at. Okay? If you are not so good at some areas, what is the relevance of that in your examination? What is the weightage of that? That is something which you have to identify. So based on that, for example, if you look at this question, in order to attempt third question, you should be good at all the 3. To attempt the fourth one, you should be good at only these 2. So you need to prioritize in your preparation which are those chapters which you have to read in the beginning, mastery them. Mastery means, I'm telling you, mastery means mastery. Just that, sir, I revised it 4 times. Doesn't make you mastery over the topic. Okay? The mastery means that any given previous question of that topic, you are good at. That is my mastery. Okay, not that you somewhere you bring one question, now you solve it. If you solve it, you become a master of this. No, I'm not saying that. From my side, I'm very much limited to civil services. Last 20 years of question papers, if I'm good, if I say that I'm master in calculus, it means that last 20 years of previous question papers, all calculus questions I can answer with 100% accuracy. That is my mastery. Nothing beyond that. Got it? So that's what is my mastery. So here and here also. Okay. Now suppose, assuming that I read this one also. So entire section A perfect. Section B, only 2 chapters I am good at. Now what happens? Now what happens? Here you will be able to attempt this 50 marks plus another 50, any 2 of this, another 50 plus 50, 50 plus 50 plus 50 from section A. Okay. Section B, here definitely out of these 2, now you don't have 6 here actually. You have 5 only, all the 5 you have to attempt. This is also, there is no choice here, all the 5. 5 out of 5. Out of these 3, you might be able to attempt only 3. Therefore, here, 5th question, you have only 30 here. If you really want to attempt 6th question or 7th question or 8th question, this is the club of all the 3. This also is club of all the 3. This also is the clubbing of all the 3. Now, out of this 6, 7, 8, how many you have to attempt? 3 plus 1 already done. Sorry. 1, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1 already done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 questions done. Only 5th question you have to attempt. Which question will you attempt? There are 4 questions in section A. How many you will attempt? You have a limit. What did I mention? Question 1, question 5 compulsory. Everyone has to attempt. If you don't attempt, you lose marks for that. First point. Second, after that, at least 1 more question from each section. Suppose I attempted 2. Okay? And then suppose I attempted 3 also. Oh yeah? 5th question is compulsory. 30. At least 1 question from section. Additionally, 1 question from section B also. Apart from 5th compulsory question. Okay, what should be that question? I'm going to choose that question in 6, 7, 8, which I can give you highest mark. Okay, suppose I did not read this one. I'm just giving an example, not that I'm suggesting you not to read that. Okay, suppose this question has got 1 question from ODE, 1 question from statics and dynamics, 1 question from vector calculus. So suppose this is a 15 marker, this is a 15 marker, this is a 20 marker. 15, 15, 20. 50, okay. In this case, it is maybe 20, 15, 15. In this case, it is 15, 15, 20. I'm just giving. Okay. Now, what you are going to select out of these two, because you read ODE and vector calculus, if I attempt 6th question, I will be able to attempt 20 plus 15, 35. This if I attempt, I will be able to attempt 20 plus 15, 35. If I am attempting this one, 15 plus 20, 35. అన్నిటికీ అట్లానే వచ్చిందా? సో ఇక్కడ దీనికి ఇద్దాం ఎక్కువ. 15, 20. Okay, this question if I attempt, I will be able to 15 plus 15, 30 only. This 15 plus 20 is 35. So this 35, 30, 35. I'll choose best of this. Maybe 35, suppose 35. How much it would be? Whatever it is. ఎంత వస్తుంది? 215. So you will be able to attempt minimum of 215 marks if you leave one of them. That is costing you certain questions here, certain questions in one of the questions, whatever is the 35 marks. Okay. Now this is the minimum thing that you have to do. Minimum. Now I have seen certain people not even following this one. 2 chapters here, 2 chapters here, 2 chapters here, 2 chapters here. They attempt 100% accurate. up to nearly 190 to 210 marks. They got very good marks. Accuracy is important. How much you are reading, that is not important. Whatever chapter that you read, you should be 100% accurate. Reading more, you feel like attempting all. Instead, read limited, but be master in that. But attempt only those questions utilizing 3 hours of time. Are you getting that? Instead of thinking of attempting 250 in 180 minutes, you think of only attempting 210 in 180 minutes. But the 210 you have to be 100% accurate. Nothing should be lost there. And you are going to prepare only for 210 marks. And people actually cleared with that. People scored very high even with limited number. Now, after having completed this, if you still find time, then add the 6th topic. So, the first thing would always be, go with the 3rd topic, add 1 topic, add 1 topic, add 1 topic. That's how it should be. So, the minimum thing that you have to do is 3. But my suggestion is at least go with 4, 2 plus 2. At least go with 4, 2 plus 2 or 3 plus 1, but better would be 2 plus 2 always. You will get more choice. Okay? Minimum things, these are minimum things. After completing this, add 1 chapter in paper 1. Same kind of strategy in paper 2 also. Even this is completed, you still find some more time, then go with paper. And this part, whatever is the last one, try to go with 10 markers. Try to go with 10 markers first. If 10 markers is completed and still you find some more time, then go with the bigger ones. Getting me? 10 markers means this one. This one I am looking for. Getting my point? So this is how you start with the minimum thing first. From minimum thing slowly add 1, add 1, add 1, add 1 like that. And while adding the last one, try to see that you go with first 10 markers. Don't leave these 10 markers. Then add some more. That all depends upon time availability for you. That all depends upon your game plan. That all depends upon when you are going to start your prelims preparation. Okay, some people, they feel like by December end, I should be completing my entire mains preparation from January 1st. And 31st night కూర్చొని శపథం చేస్తాం రేపటి నుంచి ప్రిలిమ్స్ మీద కూర్చొని ప్రిలిమ్స్ క్రాక్ చేయాలని. Okay, for those kind of people like you, if at all you want to go with that kind of a game plan, from Jan 1st if you want to go with prelims, by December 31st you have to complete all your lessons. Some people will have different strategy. Till February end, I can go with my mains preparation also. From March 1st, I will go with my exclusive prelims preparation. Then you have some additional time. So that all depends upon what kind of a game plan that you have for 2024 exam. Got it? Okay. Same strategy here also. Okay. So which topics are relevant for you? Which one would be the last chapter? That all depends on you actually. Okay. That is the most weakest area for you. Most weakest area is the one which you are going to do in the end. The strongest area should be very strong. You should be so strong enough that any given question of the last 20 years, you should be able to answer it on the spot. Dot now. ఒక రోజు సడన్గా ఇట్లా పిలిచి దీనికి ఆన్సర్ ఇవ్వంటే తక్కువని ఇచ్చేయాలి. అంత మాస్టరీ. When do that happen? Provided you have proper revisions. The number of revisions, 3rd, 4th, 5th, like this. But every time I'm telling you, here you are going to make revision notes, the summary notes or revision notes. And from here onwards, revision notes 1, revision notes 2, revision notes 3. అంటే కొత్త కాదు. Number of revision notes, revisions. కొత్త revision notes కాదు అది. Whatever the revision notes that you made here, revision notes ni revision చేయటం ఇది. అది important. The more number of revisions that you make on the revision notes, the better would be your final performance, because you are able to recollect everything very fast. The effectiveness of this revision notes making is very important. This everyone does. I'm telling you, the first part everyone does. Most of the students does mistakes here only. This is the most effective period. If you miss this most effective period, all these things, they are not so effective. Clear? Okay. Any questions now? No. Not in GS, in maths only. Maths, you don't have that partial marking facility. Maths is binary system, right? GS, we have that partial marking. Half mark also counts. Maths, no one is going to give you half mark. Are you getting my point? The same strategy of 210 out of 180 minutes doesn't work in GS. No. I don't know. You ask them. Ask their respective teachers now. Humanities, no, it doesn't work actually in humanities. Good, na? This is how you have to make your strategy, na? The GS, something or the other, you have to write an answer. Even 2 lines or 3 lines also. You attempt all the questions. That's a game plan in GS. See, out of 20 questions in GS, 10 to 12 questions should be perfect answer. So for 12 questions. Okay. Another 5 to 6 questions should be average. Will be, not that, should be. It will be average only. Average level of answer that you are going to write. Last 2 to 3 questions, you are going to just write something to get half mark. Half plus half plus half. Good enough, right? Because you cannot write, because it's a huge paper. 4,000 words you cannot write there. 4,000. 10 into 150 words, 1,500. 10 into 250 words, 2,500. Add them, 4,000 words. How can you write 4,000 words in 180 minutes? Not possible. Maximum you can write it 2,500 words. Anduke, whatever you are going to write, you truncate it. Shorten it. Don't use 150 words. You write only 75 words, everything. Out of 250 words, you write only 150 words. But whatever you want to write should be there in that 150 words. In this case, whatever you want to write should be there in 75 words. Page నింపుతాం అంతే. Diagrams అవన్నీ ఏంటంటే just reflect more, right? And then it also space constraint, space పెంచేస్తుంది. Wherever relevant, include the diagrams. Relevant. For example, statics. Most of the times you will be using diagrams. For example, free body diagram. You have to use forces, equilibrium. You have to use it. You cannot say that I don't draw the diagram. No, you have to draw the diagram. Only then it is reflecting your answer. లేకపోతే ఎట్లా కనబడతామ్మా ఫ్రీ బాడీ డయాగ్రామ్ ఊహించుకొని నువ్వు ఫోర్స్ వేయలేవు. నువ్వు ఆన్సర్ రాయాలన్నగా నీకు కావాలి ఎఫ్బిడి ఫ్రీ బాడీ డయాగ్రామ్ కదా. సో వేర్ ఎవర్ రిలవెంట్ యూ హ్యావ్ టు యూజ్ ఈవెన్ ఇన్ వెక్టర్ క్యాలిక్యులస్ ఆల్సో, ఈవెన్ ఇన్ ఓడి ఆల్సో యూ విల్ బి యూజింగ్ డయాగ్రామ్స్. యూనో చూపిస్తాను నేను హౌ ఇట్ వుడ్ బి. వేర్ ఎవర్ ఇట్ ఈస్ రిలవెంట్ యూజ్ డయాగ్రామ్స్. పిక్చర్స్ ఆల్వేస్ రిఫ్లెక్ట్ మోర్ దాన్ యువర్ టెక్స్ట్ కదా. రిలవెన్స్ అదే ఇంపార్టెంట్. 3D జియోమెట్రీ యాక్చువల్గా తక్కువ యూజ్ చేస్తామమ్మా డయాగ్రామ్. నిజం అనిపిస్తుంది కదా 3Dలో ఎక్కువ ఉంటుందేమో అని, యాక్చువల్ తక్కువ యూజ్ చేస్తాం. Vector calculus we use, and then complex sometimes we use. Linear program in the table 7a. Physics related topics generally we use certain diagrams to indicate how exactly the flow is. Questions? See, whatever the game plan that I was trying to tell you here, 210 out of 180. Now, see, general studies, suppose he was asking about general studies. They will not be like you are good at all the areas of general studies. Is it possible? At the end of the day, is it possible that you are good at all the areas? Prelims, suppose. Prelims mein, for all entire syllabus, do you think like you are good at all the areas? Definitely no. Not even a single person in entire India would be good at all the areas. Not possible. So there are definitely certain areas where you are actually good at, certain areas we are not good at. Now, but the point is, generally our tendency is we'll spend most of our time in good areas where we are good at. That's good only, nothing wrong in that. But, always look at those areas where you are not good at. What is the weightage of those areas in our exam? That weightage is important. If there is a lot of weightage for those areas which you are leaving, in the case of mathematics, almost every area it is more or less equal importance, equal weightage is there. But in general studies, it is not like that. For example, post-independent developments. Post-independent developments are security issues. How many questions would come in mains? I don't know how many of you understand the entire syllabus part now. Post-independent developments, you rarely find a question. But the understanding of post-independent developments is crucial for your entire bigger level understanding of the entire syllabus. That's how it is important. So you have to read it. You have to read the post-independent developments because of the reason that you will get a global picture of the entire syllabus. That's how it is important. You cannot leave it. If you leave it, you will not be able to interrelate different topics of the syllabus. Getting my point? So that's how it is important. You cannot leave it. Don't say that post-independent development, since the question is not coming, I will leave it. You leave it as far as your expertise on the topic is concerned. But in order to understand, you need to have that global picture. Overall picture is important. General studies needs that overall picture. General studies, I am telling you, even I was telling for the past so many years, but even now I am telling, general studies, mains general studies is important. Don't keep on talking about prelims general studies. If you get expertise on mains general studies, prelims general studies becomes just like that. Prelims GS is not such a big deal, provided you are good at mains GS. It's not today's phenomena for so many years, but yes, previous years it so happened that we used to have tips and tricks to crack prelims. All eliminated, right? Now what is important again? Coming back to say mains, right? Mains GS is important. Don't neglect mains GS. It's very important. By end of December, based on your strategy, or by end of February, before you actually start your prelims exclusive preparation, your mains entire preparation has to be complete. What does it mean? The mains preparation has to be complete till this phase, second phase. This has to complete. This has to complete. This also has to complete. This also has to complete, I'm telling you. It's not about learning. I'm talking about not only learning, one revision of this entire syllabus along with creating your revision notes is that which is important before you actually start your exclusive prelims preparation. For example, someone completed their learnings, the first phase by end of December. January, February, you keep it for this. How much you can make on this? Whatever. 50% of the main syllabus you are able to do it, only 50% you do that. I'm not asking you to do 100% of the main syllabus. 50% of the main syllabus, if you do this, then you will understand what is that UPSC is expecting from you. Then your prelims becomes easy, your mains becomes easy, everything becomes easy. It all depends upon this one. This is very, very crucial. If you don't do this one, whatever you have done, this, useless. This is important. Not just for GS or not just for mathematics, not just for any option. It is for the entire civil services preparation. This phase is more important than anything else. Now you might be asking me, sir, there are some first attempters who did not do this part. They just studied, went on studying, prelims somehow cleared, mains also cleared, interviews some additional marks they got into service. Do you think everyone will get that opportunity of clearing this exam? Very rarely it happens. Don't rely on these kind of guys. You rely on your efforts. And for all of them, those people might not have done this one, but they would have done in some other way. I will tell you. 40th ranker, Shakamori. First attempt. He's not believing himself that he cleared this exam now also. Okay, because he has seen so many of his seniors better than him, the assumption is better than him in terms of knowledge or experience or whatever, still could not clear prelims, sometimes mains. But this guy, without not much knowledge, he is able to do. Why? How he is able to do that? Limitless. Smart work and limiting his studies. Limit yourself first. You first limit yourself. Mastery that. If you don't master that, reading the entire syllabus is useless. He limited himself to very narrowed down version of syllabus. But he mastered that in his limited time. First attempt, obviously limited time. He doesn't have choice also, limited time only. But what he did, he limited himself to only this much of syllabus. Whatever extra available time, he revised only this one only, nothing else. He did not read more because he has time. Getting my point? So whatever is the limited syllabus, you try to repeat it. Limited content, repeat it. Number of times you repeat it, number of times you revise it, expertise that, practice it. Okay? But at every level, he limited himself and practiced that one only, nothing else. Even while attending interviews also, he attended our interview. After that, he attended very few interviews because he realized this is what is required. Rest of things are not required. Actually, he would have, because he is less experienced, therefore he would have attended some 20-30 interviews. But he did not do that. He is very clear. I want only this one for this year. Whether I get it or not, I want only this one. But he was clear in what he wants, what he can do. Now you don't get into that, you read the entire thing. No. If you're reading the entire syllabus and trying to get expertise over the entire syllabus, either of the optional or of the GS, you are actually wasting your time. Civil service doesn't require you to get expertise in all the areas. If you try to get expertise in all the areas, you will become a senior. First attempt, second attempt, third attempt, fourth attempt, fifth attempt. Even then you don't realize this fact, then you will become a teacher like me. అంతే ఇంకేం ఉండదు. అంటే సివిల్ సర్వీస్లో ఇంకా ఉండాలి అనుకుంటే వదలలేక సివిల్ సర్వీసెస్ ఉంటే ఇంకా టీచర్గా ఇట్లా కొనసాగుతూ ఉంటాను నీ జీవితకాలం. లేదా బాబు సివిల్ సర్వీసెస్ చాలా చేసామనుకుంటే బయటికి వెళ్ళి వేరే జాబ్ చూసుకుంటాం. అంటే నేను జాబ్కి వెళ్ళి మళ్ళీ వెనక్కి వచ్చేసాను, అదేదో బాగాలేదు ఇదే బాగుందని. ఎవరి పిచ్చి వాళ్ళు కానన్నా, మీ పిచ్చి మీకు ఎట్లా ఉంటుందో చూసుకోండి. ఓకే, నా బిఫోర్ లీవింగ్ మ్యాథమెటిక్స్ తీసుకోవాలి అంటే చెప్పాను కదా, syllabus okay, syllabus everything is okay, game plans also are there. We can create this personalized game plans later on when you complete your syllabus, and in the first revision we can create that personalized game plan also. Everything is okay, all these things are okay. చూడడానికి చాలా చాలా బాగా అనిపిస్తాయి. Sufficient కాదు, not sufficient. Okay, now to do the kind of practice, there are two things which are important. Heavy hard work is important because mathematics can give you the kind of results proportional to the efforts. The more hard work that you do in mathematics, you will get more marks. That is appreciated. That is directly proportional, directly related. More hard work, more returns. That doesn't happen for all the optionals, but for mathematics it happens. Okay, but the second part is, how do you balance the preparation of mathematics with the preparation of general studies? That is also a very tactical move here. Because in mathematics what happens when you maths పిచ్చోళ్ళు అంటాం మనం, నేను మ్యాథ్స్ పిచ్చోడే, మీరు మ్యాథ్స్ పిచ్చోళ్ళు అయ్యి ఉండొచ్చు అందులో. ఓకే, జనరల్లీ వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్ విత్ మ్యాథ్స్ గైస్, when they start doing mathematics they forget about rest of the world. కదా, that's an advantage, but civil services it is disadvantage. That is advantage to the extent that you can do more and more in mathematics. The disadvantage is that one is you are going to neglect your general studies, number one. Number two fact, more importantly, the smart work, as you mentioned, the smart work here is that when you get stuck up at some question getting an answer, you should have the smartness or skill to shift to next question. Are you getting my point? when you're doing practice or when you are doing the final examination also. Shifting to the next question is important. That is something which mathematics guys don't have. Even I don't have. But I have to get that skill later on. Okay? Why I'm trying to tell you now itself? Because you have to get that skill now itself. You have to try for it now itself. Don't tomorrow say that, sir, you told me on the very first day, but my mains examination, I get stuck up at one question. I'm not able to get answer. I kept on trying. Time is up finally. Don't say that to me again. If you say that again, means that you are not learning from your seniors. Whatever I told you, if you don't listen, then it becomes a very big affair for you. You will be losing years, frustrations. Right? Why unnecessarily? Day one, when we're trying to tell you certain things, try to learn them, try to adopt them. It's based on our experience that we tell you certain things. Okay? ఈ చిన్న పాయింట్ ఎవరు చెప్పరు మీకు ఇది. But this is the point which is going to kill you in the final exam. Okay? It killed one of my exams. Therefore, I know it. నా ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ మీకు పనికి రావాలి కాబట్టి చెప్పాను. మీరు యూజ్ చేసుకుంటే మంచిదే, యూజ్ చేసుకోకపోతే ఏముంది, మళ్ళీ ఇక్కడే కలుస్తాం, ఇంకోలా కలవచ్చు తర్వాత. క్వశ్చన్స్ బిఫోర్ వి ఎండ్ దిస్ సెషన్. డైలీ టైమ్ 4 to 5 hours పడుతుంది. See, to complete my homework itself takes another 2 hours daily. Previous questions ka cheyali kadamma. You cannot say that that much of time I don't have to do. The previous questions avanni chesi tirale. Day one, when we start with the basics of ordinary differential equations, we directly solve previous year question paper. Day one it starts. I will not solve silly questions in the class. Even if you ask me to solve, I am not going to solve those silly questions in the classroom. The reason being that we are here not to solve those silly questions which are not going to come in the final exam. I am going to solve only those questions which will come in the exam or which already appeared in the exam. Yes, to make you understand certain concepts, I will create there and then itself some questions. That is only to make you understand. But I will tell you that those questions are not going to appear in the exam. Clear cut. I am very clear on that. If I solve a question in the classroom, it has to be civil services question only. And you also have to ensure that even after going home, you solve only those questions which are relevant to civil service exam. Don't solve irrelevant questions. Don't waste your time. We don't have that much time to solve all those blah 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 questions, no? Why to waste time unnecessarily? I was telling you a complex analysis, suppose I told you. A course which can be dealt in 1 year, I will teach you in 12 to 13 hours. And you will be able to solve all the questions. That is important finally. And that was already proven once. Okay? Yeah.
చాయిస్ రాయాల్సి వస్తే ఏదైనా మార్క్స్ ఎక్కువ వస్తే అది కన్సిడర్ చేస్తాను. చాయిస్ రాసిన మార్క్స్ ఎక్కువ వస్తే
99 point, I got it. First thing, you don't have that much time in the examination hall, but anyway, even if you have written additional questions, which one would be considered? UPSC is very, very liberal in this case. Generally, they will consider the best scenario, but there is no guarantee. అంత టైం అసలు దొరకదమ్మా. అందుకోసమే ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసేది మనం, అందుకోసమే ఆ సినారియోకి వెళ్ళకూడదని మనం ప్రాక్టీస్ ఎక్కువ చేస్తాం, టెస్ట్లు ఎక్కువ ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తాం. దట్ సినారియో హ్యాస్ కమ్ ఇన్ టు పిక్చర్ బికాస్ యూ హ్యావ్ చూజన్ ద రాంగ్ క్వశ్చన్ టు ఆన్సర్. అంతే కదా. ఇక్కడ చూస్ చేసుకునేటప్పుడు 6, 7, 8లో ఏది చూస్ చేసుకోవాలన్న దగ్గర రాంగ్ క్వశ్చన్ చూస్ చేసుకుంటాం. ఓకే, ఆ రాంగ్ క్వశ్చన్ చూస్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు ఈ ఒకటి క్వశ్చన్ చేయగానే అర్థమైపోతుంది నువ్వు హ్యావ్ చూజన్ ద రాంగ్ వన్ అని. అప్పుడు యూ విల్ గో విత్ ద నెక్స్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ కదా, అక్కడ చేస్తావు. లేదా ఇక్కడ రెండో క్వశ్చన్ చేసినప్పుడు నీకు యూ ఐడెంటిఫై దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ చూజన్ ద రాంగ్ వన్. నౌ విత్ ఇన్ ద లిమిటెడ్ టైమ్ ఫ్రేమ్ యూ ట్రై టు ఆన్సర్ దిస్ వన్ కదా. సో దట్ అట్లీస్ట్ 5 to 10 మార్క్స్ అడిషనల్ అటెంప్ట్ చేయొచ్చు కదా. అక్కడ ఈ రెండు అటెంప్ట్ చేస్తావు, వాళ్ళ చాయిస్. Generally, they will consider the best option, but there is no guarantee. There is a possibility that they will penalize you also. ఎక్స్ట్రా ఎందుకు రాసి ఎక్స్ట్రా ఇవాల్యుయేషన్ మేము ఎందుకు చేయాలి? అవకాశం మనం ఎప్పుడు ఇవ్వకూడదు. సో ఆ కేసుకి వచ్చింది అంటే బికాజ్ యు ఆర్ నాట్ ఏబుల్ టు చూస్ బిట్వీన్ దీస్ టూ క్వశ్చన్స్ అంటేనే ప్రాక్టీస్లో లోపం అని. ప్రాక్టీస్లో లోపం అంటే టెస్ట్ సిరీస్ ప్రాక్టీస్లో లోపం. టెస్ట్ సిరీస్ బాగా ప్రాక్టీస్ చేస్తుంటే చూసింగ్ ఏ క్వశ్చన్, ఏ రైట్ క్వశ్చన్ ఫర్ యూ అన్నది ఆల్సో ఇస్ ఎ ప్రాక్టీస్ దట్ యూ హ్యావ్ నాట్ డన్. అది టెస్ట్ సిరీస్లో వస్తుంది. టెస్ట్ సిరీస్ ఇస్ మ్యాండేటరీ. అండ్ రిమెంబర్ వన్ థింగ్, as soon as you complete your first round of learnings, then ensure that from there and then onwards you start writing question papers, either test series question papers or previous year question papers as a test. Previous year question papers as a test for you. So that means time frame is important. Within very short span of time, how to write a better answer, that is more important. Okay, fine then. That's it from my side. Okay, so catch you guys later. We'll start our batch from Monday onwards, Monday 3rd afternoon 2 to 4:30. Okay, the classroom would be that premises, Ashok Nagar premises. This is Indra Park premises, right? We have Ashok Nagar premises. There we'll have